Hello students, this video is to help you understand and remember the continents and oceans of our world. So we're going to start very simply just by naming the continents, and you can see the image of a map of the world below, and we're just going to simply go through and name them. Most of these names should at least sound familiar to you. If not, pay very careful attention. The first that we have is right here, North America. Below that, we have South America. Going up, we have Europe, then Africa, then Asia, Australia, and finally in the south, Antarctica. There are 7 continents. So now the question is, what are the shapes of the continents so that we can identify them easily between different times that we're studying, making sure that we can recognize the shapes of the continents. So let's start with North America. North America, very simply, is this area here. That's North America. Then we have South America down here. Now, if you notice this little part here that's labeled Central America, it's actually a sub-region of South America, so it kind of belongs with South America, even though it's kind of connected to both. And we'll talk about that a lot more when we get to our study of Latin America. Moving on, we've got the shape of Africa. Africa is kind of a standalone continent. And we can't forget about little Madagascar, because that's also part of the African continent. Then it gets a little tricky because we have Europe and Asia, which are connected to each other. They are the only continents that really share the same landmass. So we have to kind of talk about where one stops and the other starts. So Europe is this western part here. And Europe ends right around in this area with a mountain range called the Ural Mountains, and that divides Europe and Asia. Then we have Asia, which is this large piece of land right here, including the Middle East. That is Asia. Then we have Australia, which is a continent, and again, all of these islands are considered part of a region, including Australia, called Oceania, but the continent itself is Australia. And then in the south, we have Antarctica. Now, Antarctica on a flat map looks long and stretched out, but it's really circular on the globe. And we'll talk about that when we talk about projections. So those are your continents. Now let's talk about oceans. There are 5 oceans that we discuss in 6th grade. Some sources will say 4, but geographers really have discussed a 5th ocean, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. So the first ocean that you need to know is in the northern part of the globe, the Arctic Ocean at the top. Then we have the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is interesting because on a flat map, it's both in the east and in the west. It's in both, east and west. Okay? Because remember, the globe is round, so if we were to fold this map over, they would touch each other. Then we have the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. You can remember that one because it's right below India, Indian Ocean. And then the 5th ocean, the Southern Ocean, down here in the south. Geographers use things like water current and temperature to decide where one ocean stops and another one starts. And over time, they realized that before, this whole area used to be considered part of Atlantic and this part of Indian. But they realized that the ocean at the bottom of the world, the water at the bottom of the world, really had its own characteristics, its own way of moving, its own temperature, and its own identity. So they've named it the Southern Ocean. So use this video, replay it if you need to help you learn the continents and oceans, because that's going to be a very important part of our study together this year. So take some time, practice, learn them. Good luck.